And welcome to a special live version of a Fantasy Fan Sportscast. We're combining tonight a Fantasy Fan Sportscast with HBYOB BrewCast. We're just going to roll a little while here and talk about fantasy, beer, barbecuing, and some poker. Come back. And good night. This is Easy Kill with a Fantasy Fan Sportscast, a fantasy fan on Twitter. I'm joined tonight by my regular host with a Fantasy Fan Sportscast, Chris Allen. Chris, how you doing tonight?
Not too bad. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing fine. We also have with us tonight, that's usually with us when we do our brewcast, and that's Joey from HBYOB.com. Joey, how are you this evening?
I'm doing fantastic.
Oh, and I'm sure you're excited about some fantasy sports talk.
The anticipation is killing me.
Amen. Right. Hey, I got excited for hop growing. You could at least, show a little interest in fantasy.
I made sure I got
what are you holding up
beers.
there? What are you holding up?
So this is a IPA that I brewed with just Zythos hops, a new hop to the store. And I also brought Mad Trees Citra High.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, all right.
Spoilers, I've had it before, so.
All right. Chris, what are you bringing? And again, guys that have never listened to the brewcast, we always open a brew at the beginning of the show. Chris, what are you drinking, or are you?
I am drinking, but I actually want to show off real quick. Joey knows, or he knows that I have this already, but I want to show it to the folks at home. Or, well, we're not on YouTube, so I guess it doesn't matter, but I'll tell folks about it, and I'll show you guys. So this sucker right here, so that you can see it, is a pressurized growler that my wife got me for our 11th anniversary on Friday. So this sucker holds 128 ounces, and it has a CO2 cartridge at the top, which you can actually adjust the pressure setting on it. So depending on what beer that you put in there, you can adjust it for that. And this thing is badass. I mean, I took it over to my brother-in-law's place on Sunday evening. I filled it up earlier in the day, threw it in the fridge, and then pulled it out before I left. And
is it insulated? Is it insulated, or
I think so?
Or put it in ice?
I thought, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, it looks fairly thin-walled, and but it definitely looks
like something you would take to a fantasy draft party.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna I
mean, you might as well have draft at a draft party.
But this thing's amazing.
Are you drinking out of it right now? Are the beer you're drinking right now? So what are you pouring?
It's just my my milkshake IPA that I'd sent to the competition a couple months back.
Oh, this is the 26 point or the 22 point?
Yeah, the 21 pointer.
The 21 pointer.
Which isn't undercarbonated now.
I think if you were hunting, bucks that morning, that's a good buck, but it's a shitty beer score. I got it.
I was talking to a customer came in the store today who placed in third place in the IPA category, Chris. So I do know someone who knocked it out of the park.
Third place. How many? And again, people that haven't joined us, we just talked about competitions a couple podcasts ago. To get third? What kind of score do you have to have? So we know where that compares with Mr. 21 points.
High 30s, low 40s.
You got it. He said 38.
38. Okay.
All right.
So that'd be like in fantasy PPR, a good week, you might get close to 200 points, maybe in a super flex league or something like that.
Well, I got a 38 beer sweat, and I didn't even get a pat on the damn back, so I don't know.
A 38?
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty
good. I don't know. It's out of 50, I think.
Back to keeping it with both, mixing it all together. I've had fantasy, points. Chris, have you ever, and again, I know scoring is pretty relevant, but I have had twice I've been over 200 points and lost.
Yes.
I mean, again, it's like getting beat with a straight flush because the other guy had the royal flush. I mean, it's just
worse. Yeah.
I mean, you score 200 points in fantasy, you're like, oh, I got it.
Yeah.
And you look and you're like, that bastard scored 212 or something.
Yeah, it is the biggest kick in the nuts. And I would almost like the couple of times that this actually happened to me, I've gone back, and even now that I think about it, I wish I just sat all my players and just had taken a 0 for the week. Like that would have been, I would have felt better about that than losing by just I think I lost a couple of times by, it was either maybe 6 points, 198 to 204 or 201 to 205, or it's just something like that where it's you score so many points, you would have beat everybody in the league except for that one person.
Right. That happens. I mean, it's like poker again. You can lose, you can lose with second to the nuts and you lose. There's nothing worse, but those are when you make money. I mean, when you have the nuts, I think I told Joey, I had the straight flush a couple weeks ago. And 2 people bet into me. We ended up 3-way all in, and I had the straight flush. So, that was one I won though. And at that point it was the nuts. A royal flush wasn't an option, but you always love that. I am drinking Big Wave Golden Ale from the Kahona Brewing Company. Kona, I'm sorry. Big Kahona. Isn't the Big Kahona, isn't that somebody in a movie?
I don't know about all that, but Kona's in Hawaii, I believe.
Yep,
I do believe that's true, and it sure is it's a pretty wave on the thing.
See, I got a T-shirt that. There you go.
Oh, all right.
Hey, my undershirt for the day.
All right. Well, again, we appreciate everybody joining. Now, Chris said something, but we are live on YouTube. I think wasn't that the goal?
Allegedly, we are live.
Oh, we are? Okay.
I see a few viewers. I see a few viewers.
Okay.
You can comment in the chat. I can see it if you want to say something.
And so we are live on both right now. If you want audio, it's at Spreaker.com. Just search for a fantasy fan. If you want to watch us on video, we're on YouTube, and there you would search for HBYOB or go to HBYOB.com, and there should be a link up there. So either way, you can hear us, listen to us, or play back later. And again, we're going to talk a little bit about everything. We're just kind of trying something new tonight. We had a little extra time to start. So we're going to talk, but we are going to start. First of all, here, Chris, we'll go with a little fantasy, or not fantasy. We're going to go with golf. Did you watch? Well, first of all, happy Father's Day, belated to all of you. Yes. So, because we did have Sunday was Father's Day, and we talked about the U.S. Open golf, and that golf course kicked their ass on Saturday. I am one of those people who enjoyed it immensely. Because if you remember last week, we talked about it. That's why I enjoy the U.S. Open. They set the course up to be hard. Now, it was extremely hard. Everybody was complaining.
Was Bubba Watson in it?
Bubba Watson. I don't think he made the cut. I think Bubba Watson did not make the cut. A lot of guys did not make the cut.
Tiger didn't make the cut.
Joey, it's hard. I know Joey's the least of the sports fans here. This golf course on Saturday, it got windy. And again, it's hard. I'm trying to think how to explain it to somebody who's not a golfer, but I guess the easiest way is just tell the truth. The golfers who golfed in the morning, the first half of the day, those golfers, and I'm not going to know the exact scores, but they were averaging scores in the low 70s, including a few guys that hit 66s and 65s, which for the U.S. Open, pretty decent scores. Then the wind picked up. And what the wind did, it wasn't the wind that affected the play. The wind dried out the greens and technically turned the greens into concrete. The guys that golfed later, they were averaging in the 80s. The better golfers were shooting in the 78s. It was a 10-shot swing. Guys would barely tap the ball, and it would roll 20 yards. They could not stop it. They were pissed. The golf course was kicking their ass, and I was enjoying it, but everyone on Twitter was like, this was ruining golf. This is terrible. Yeah. The golfers were bitching. I don't know. I sat there and went, there you go.
They look like us.
They looked like us. They did. They looked. Now we just shot 150, if that. So
I would have been loaded by that time.
And took 4 mulligans.
Yeah.
Well, that's where I'm headed. So I don't know if either one of you saw the Phil Mickelson thing.
I did.
I have to admit, I watched it live. I watched golf Saturday and Sunday. And I've told Chris last week, Joey, it's one of the few things. My dad lives on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. He's a big golf guy. He watches golf all the time. But, I'm not the Father's Day weekend. Me and him watch golf together. I know he's watching. I'm watching it. We call on the phone a little bit and chat. So I was watching it live. Joey, this is, again, something you don't expect, which not only do you not expect, it's not really happened too much. He putted the ball. It rolled past the hole, and it was going to go. It was about to hit a curve in the green that this ball was just going to roll to like the next state. So he runs over to the ball and just whacks it before it even stops.
Fucking classic. Again, love it.
Yes.
See, for not being a sports person, going on tilt, NASCAR's for the crashes. I'm all. You should have told me. I'd have tuned in. I'd have tuned in. Thrown clubs.
Twitter. Yeah. He didn't throw clubs, but he just whacked it, reached over, putted it in, and walked off.
So how does that work? What kind of penalty do you get for hitting the ball while it rolls?
2-stroke penalty.
He got a 2-stroke penalty, which he said he knew. He said he knew that's what was going to happen. But he said he thinks it saved him a stroke. He's convinced it saved him a stroke because it was going to go so far.
Right,
and
it looked like it was going to.
That's why golfing. I don't know. What do you want to call them? What do you the beer snob, the poker snob? There are golf snobs.
The purists.
Oh, yeah. They're purists. Yeah.
They went ape shit. He disgraced the game. He disgraced
his legacy.
Oh, goodness.
Tarnished his legacy, the whole 9, man.
Yeah. I do not tweet much. All I did is I tweeted for the first time in a long time, Phil Mickelson, hashtag a human going human, meaning he just did what we all wanted to do. I found it entertaining as hell.
Oh, I did too.
The guy that Joey, you need to just YouTube it.
I'm gonna Google it later.
The guy he's golfing with, the other professional, he can't stop laughing. He laughs for 2 holes. He says it's the nuttiest thing he's ever seen. Yeah. And he apologized to Phil he couldn't stop laughing. He literally apologized to Phil because he couldn't stop laughing.
So we went 10 cup. He went 10 cup. That's what.
He did go 10 cup.
Yeah, I mean, it was rabbit tilt. It was bad. I did remember when John Daly did the same thing, but John Daly whacked his ball. John Daly was done. I don't know if you've seen the video of this. John Daly does a similar thing, except he doesn't whack his ball back towards the hole. He just whacks the goddamn ball. As the ball's rolling by, he takes his putter, he whacks it. He walks over, picks the ball up, and truly just keeps walking. He's done. He taps out.
Well, so see,
that was
Phil
Mickelson kept playing.
People are way too worried about being PC these days, and people need to understand. Is it great for the game of golf? No, but it takes people like me who are going to tune in. Every now and then you need a Happy Gilmore or 10 cup, or you need something where you go, no way, Google that. I'm going to watch the next golf event just in crossing my fingers. I hope to see some shit like that again.
The guys in the booth, Joey, swear to God, the guys in the booth, the U.S. Open's so big, they do unlimited commercials, they don't, so they're cutting from hole to hole. They literally cut from, they were showing it, but someone else was doing something at the same time. So they showed it, went away, and then came back like,
so this is what happened. Look at this.
They showed it live.
Yeah.
Everyone knew what happened, but they didn't comment on it yet because they went real quick. They edited to another thing because the guy in the bus or the control room maybe missed what happened. So they quickly, they commented like, okay, he missed that putt. And then they went to like hole 14 and then they come back real quick and go, did we just cut away? Did that just happen? And they showed it like forever. It was hysterical.
I have seen the YouTube videos where I believe Tiger Woods was actually one of them where you see him miss a putt and you just hear fuck. And then, ladies and gentlemen, sorry about
let it happen. Let it happen.
But even that, the difference there is Tiger Woods got fined big money for all of those. And even here, if Mickelson had cussed, he'd have got fined. He broke a rule and he just got a 2-stroke penalty. Didn't cost him any money because he didn't cuss. So it was pretty funny.
I'm sorry, but for golf people to jump to that conclusion and disgracing the game and everything, I mean, people are allowed to be human these days. I don't understand why we got to get so hung up on, I understand it's a character-driven game, but people are allowed to get pissed. I mean, it was going to be frustrating.
Now, part of the problem with golf, anyway, is the way the rules are set up. In golf, it's one of the few sports where you are your own referee.
Yeah, you're on an honor system.
Yeah. So that's where a lot of these, golf people went. They even went as far as the rules say he should disqualify himself, meaning he needs to disqualify himself.
That's right. Yeah.
Whatever.
But the whole thing. And then they were mad that he came out and was honest. I thought that he said, I'm just telling you, I think I took advantage of the rule. I knew it was a 2-stroke penalty, so I whacked the ball because I knew it was going to take 3 or 4 strokes to get back. And they got even madder that he said that. He said it's even more disgraceful that you admitted that you were breaking the rules
to exploited the rules. So now they're calling for a rule change. To make up for the fact that he exploited it. So it's like, come on, guys.
Right. I'm just saying it made my. I mean,
we've heard that about. I've heard the same scenarios happen in poker where you'll see Phil Hellmuth said this, or this player did this, or this person did that to manipulate the rules, and blah 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 blah. Isn't that kind of what this part of the game is exploiting your edges? I mean, isn't that kind of part of the strategy? Right. And I think it's so funny in poker. But I remember there was a video. Phil Hellmuth was like, You told me you didn't look at your cards. It was against I can't remember, Tony G. He's like, you told me you didn't look at your cards. That's why I called you with Ace Jack. And he's like, Phil, it's poker. Am I supposed to tell you the truth? If I told you the truth every time, none of us would ever win.
Yeah.
I mean, poker.
It's back to now. I'm noticing watching these poker tournaments that a lot of these people, and again, is it taking advantage of the rules where you call the clock every fucking time? There are players now that they're not just calling the clock on someone who's taking long. They're just calling the clock every time because they're taking advantage of the new rule, which is anyone can call a clock, not just people in the hand.
I watched a high roller where the dealer actually hit on a tablet right in front of the dealer, where hit a tablet that had a timer every time. So now back to, it doesn't make the players feel guilty. There was something real huge in poker where someone used I forget what it's called. I can't remember now, but where someone basically angle shot somebody, and that's a big thing here in poker.
Oh yeah.
There was a guy who said he went all in. It would take me. We don't have enough time to explain the situation, but it cracks me up. It shouldn't be on the players in golf or anything to follow the rules, or even like with the time clock to say, hey, I'm going to call time on you. It should be the referees, the dealers, the people directing the tournaments. Why are you going to make a guy feel like a jerk? I understand if you're down to 7 big blinds, and some guy's taking 20 minutes to decide whether he wants to, fold 8-7 offsuit. It's ridiculous. Right. And there are people who are habitual of doing it.
It's ridiculous, or is it taking advantage of the rules?
Exactly. You got to look at it from all angles.
Then you change the rules. That's the key. Then you change the rules to where, like you said, the dealer, every time hits that, my argument would be, what is the right time? Is it 5 minutes? Is it 30 seconds?
I think Daniel Negreanu helped get the rule change for the World Series of Poker. And I believe it was, you are on a time clock once you're multi-way. You got to keep the action going. But once we get heads up, and now we're making decisions heads up, it is courtesy to give the player, I believe it or not, in the World Series of Poker, 15 minutes to make a decision on the flop.
Right.
Wow. But here's the problem. And nowadays they say, oh, you're disrespectful. I forget the name of the poker player who couldn't shut his mouth, Kasuf or Kaloof or whatever. It's disrespectful to the game. Well, who wants to watch people, with their poker face not say 2 words on television? Yeah. Nobody wants to watch it. People want to watch people blow up.
That's why they
golf ball while it's rolling.
Right. That's why they're
ruining the advertising element of it.
If you're watching live poker, it's hard, So I'm just saying it was more than entertaining.
I'm Googling it.
And And that doesn't even count. And I'll be honest, if you Google it, it's even if you really don't know what you're looking at, if you don't know what you're looking at, most people would just look and go, okay, because the ball the ball looks like it's about to stop, but what people don't see is there's a ledge. He hits it right before it hits the ledge. I mean,
see, I've got the opposite strategy in putt. When the ball's close to the wall, I let the putter drag it about 4 feet before I let the putter and the golf ball commence making contact with each other. I'm kind of steering it for 4 feet. I was too close to the wall. I had to hit it that way.
Right. I don't know if that really translates to the PGA, to the U.S. Open, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Now the other thing is, the reason golf has to be that way, Joey, rule-wise though, is there's not enough officials to follow every player making every shot. So that's why golf is the gentleman's game and the rules are that way, because they know, there really is not enough, now with TV cameras, that's changed a little bit, which again, I don't know. Joey's not into it. And Chris, I don't know how much you're into golf. A couple of years ago, they had to change this rule. A couple of years ago, 2 different big tournaments, someone who watched something on TV called in and said so-and-so on hole whatever broke a rule. You need to look at the video. And twice and one was Tiger. They actually gave a penalty stroke because when they played back the video, you literally could see that the ball moved when they pulled out a piece of grass or so that went on where they were getting people on TV that were putting in like they were the damn, rulers of the game.
I'd be like,
they did have to
in.
Yeah, like 2 weeks. I don't know. I'm just saying. I think it was 2 years ago they changed that rule now where they no longer were taking TV phone in live rule regulations.
Yeah,
but again, and
I'm
not saying
it Happy Gilmore. Yeah, jackass before.
Yeah. Oh no! All I want to know is him. Him and Bob Barker fighting on the thing. That's the best
classic.
scene.
That's just classic.
Bob Barker. So, but I'm just saying, Joey, and not only that, to see, and again, it's hard to put, again, I don't even think there's a poker term, but this golf course ate them up. They just could not keep a ball from rolling off or rolling around or stuck. They would hit the perfect shot, they would say, but it was
no good.
Yeah.
Oh, it was like trying to stop a ball in a parking lot. It would just roll and roll and roll. I mean, they even said they had to shoot for the cup and hope it went in because they know if they missed, which people say that is the goal anyway, but it's really not. They, on long putts, they're just trying to get it close usually. But they said, no, we're definitely going for the hole because I'm hoping the hole stops it from rolling farther, So,
well, there was one guy that did that.
A couple of them did.
A couple of them did that where I saw, there was one guy that he tried to shoot out of the sand trap. He hit the pin, but then it rolled all the way back to the sand trap that he was standing in. And you just see him just bent over, just staring at the ground because he's so pissed.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, because I don't know and I've seen videos of it. What about in baseball where the ball's rolling down the, say, third baseline and you see the players getting down on their hands and knees and blowing it foul? Is that illegal?
That's not illegal. That's not illegal.
Bullshit to me.
But you can't.
That's manipulating a rule. I'm sorry, but that's manipulating a rule. Just like
okay, but it's even worse than that. It's even worse than that. There are teams, and this has been known in baseball. If you have a team that bunts a lot or does whatever, they will have the linesman will chalk a heavier chalk line than a team that doesn't bunt.
Yeah, gotcha.
Or vice versa. If they say, if it's a home game and they go, hey, we're playing a team that bunts a lot, we want you to use less line. They want less powder on there because they want the ball to be able to roll off. They don't want it to, because if it hits that white line, it'll stay. It's fair ball. Mm-hmm. So,
but my point is, isn't that using a rule? I'm sorry, but if players are on their hands and knees blowing a ball, just imagine if we went and shot pool in a tournament and I shot in the 8-ball bobble and I went, so it fell in. That's blatant cheating. That's fucking cheating. Because I can make every ball on the table if I blew hard enough.
The next
my head would be dizzy.
On the back of your head. Right. A pool cue hit you in the back of the head.
Oh, yeah.
Now, in baseball, I'm sorry, I would come out to the mount and be ready to brawl if someone blew my ball foul.
But I'm pretty.
That ain't right.
I don't think you've seen that in too many real games. You might have seen
I've seen it on YouTube a lot.
Yeah, they probably do.
So it had happened all the time.
Sometimes, at some point in baseball, they're just doing it because the player knows, well, it's not going to go anyway, so I'm going to pretend. I'm just saying, you really don't see it, but
you get that in basketball too. The players will act like they're hurt, or they'll over exaggerate a player.
Soccer's terrible at that.
The World Cup videos we've been seeing the last week or so. It's like,
I'm defending Nicholson. Well, okay, he used the rule to his advantage. What did he do? I mean,
in basketball,
they've no integrity in baseball and basketball and football. We know there's not football, but
if they play back the video in basketball and see that you flopped, you'll get fined. It's now a fine. They did change that rule.
Yeah.
But soccer is by far the worst. But but my argument is bending rules or getting to the edge of a rule or taking advantage of a rule. If it's your team or your player, you want them to, right? Don't you? I mean, in fantasy, Chris, in fantasy, you want your guy to,
my point is
want him to break a rule if they have to.
I was going to say, I don't think cheating is ever right. However, manipulating rules to your advantage, I don't have a problem with that. And yes, what he did, should the rule be adjusted because of that? Possibly. But at that time when he did it, he took the rules to his advantage, and I don't have a problem with it. I'll defend him.
Yeah,
he did nothing wrong. He did nothing wrong. He was smart. He was smart enough to do it. The rest of them should They should be shooting themselves in the ass for doing that. Not doing this. Taking.
Well, but that's the problem. Now they're worried everyone's going to do it because
then change the rule. Change the rule.
Everybody who's ever golfed knows you have to wait till the ball stops.
Yeah.
Now it's playable. You can't hit it.
But how often you're also I believe the person who's got the furthest ball out supposed to go. And, when someone misses a putt by a couple feet, they don't even put two hands on the putter. They just hit it in. I mean, it's technically breaking the rule, right? Shouldn't the guy who put his quarter, 15 feet
that's back to the difference in a rule.
Like right before the cup. I mean, if you want to split hairs, we can split hairs.
That's a courtesy, not a rule.
I know. But I think it's disrespectful for the players to hit it with the back of the club and do all that dumb shit. You should hit it with the side of the club that the ball was intended to hit. Because you see them hit just with the back of the club and one-handed on that crap.
That's because they've done it a million times.
I get it. But at the same point,
practice.
I can't imagine,
these aren't guys getting 21.6 on their,
no, they're
their entry. These are we're talking the 38s. These are the 38 to the 39s taking them. Let's go there. But let's go there. In beer making, to get to that 38, is there a rule you can manipulate a little bit? Can you take this and go, I should probably be in this category, but I'm going to go in this category because I think I can get a better score? I mean, in beer making, can you take advantage if you're going to enter a contest? Is there something you can manipulate that some people might say is a rule breaker, but you might just say, well, I'm just taking advantage of the rule and it's going to allow me to put it in this category, or I'm going to put it at this temperature, or I'm going to carbonate the shit out of it. I mean,
I guess peel the label off of zombie dust and put a new cap on the top of it.
That'd be the rule. I mean, just take a brew you get at the store and just peel it off and say, hey, here you go.
You'd have to replace the cap. You'd have to replace the cap. So just get the beer close to freezing. So when you take the cap off, it doesn't disturb the CO2. Just real quickly put a gold crown on there. I guess that would be manipulating the rules.
Yep, slap a new label on it.
I think that
because I know someone who won a chili. I know someone who made a chili. I know someone who legitimately won a chili making contest. Who opened up 3 cans of Hormel and dumped them in a crock pot. Took it to the contest
and
winner chicken dinner. Not even joking.
Jesus.
Now again, I'd have to know the rule there. In beer, I sure think if you use someone else's beer, that's breaking a rule. That's not taking advantage of something. And stretching a rule, that's breaking a rule.
I would say the only I wouldn't say a rule breaking or stretching a rule, but I think when we talked about beer, brew competitions, it's brewing specifically to that style. And so by not tweaking anything to your own personal liking, just saying, hey, I know all the characteristics for that style, so I'm just going to do that. And I'll just find a recipe. I'll find a basic recipe that fits that style, and I'll do that. And that would be one of the ways that you could do it.
I was discussing this with the customer who won 3rd place at the competition. There's a book. I'm not gonna look up the author because I'm too lazy. It's called Brewing Classic Styles. And quite honestly, I would say get that book and just start picking recipes from that book. I guess that would be, are you cheating? You're picking a recipe straight from a book that probably 10 other entries in that style did the same exact thing.
Following the recipe and making a quality beer to me is
but I mean KFC doesn't want you to know those like 78 spices that are in that.
I mean, I understand that, but to me that's still not the same as putting in someone else's beer. Meaning,
right. So I don't think there really is.
You take a recipe, because Joey, you have enough customers that make beer that I'm sure it would go, man, I follow that recipe to a T and this beer sucked. I mean, there still is a something you have to do. Chris, let's throw it to fantasy sports. We'd have to do fantasy sports in there a little bit. Are you breaking? And here, back to the same thing. You're the commissioner of a home league. You know how the league is pretty much set up, but should you adjust the rules that help you, that help the advanced player, or do you set the rules up that they help the weaker player? I mean, is that cheating, or is that just saying, guys, you knew this is the rules and you knew that before you got in the league or when we drafted? The fact that these rules are set up to where I have an advantage, well, that's because I made up the league myself. Is that cheating though?
No, I don't think that's cheating because you're never going to know in advance whether or not that's going to wind up benefiting you in week 3, 4, whenever. Now, if it happens to coincidentally work out that way in your favor, okay. But if at the beginning of the season, everybody says, these are the rules, everybody's cool with it, and then it winds up benefiting you, I don't see how I could be in the wrong if that's what happens to shake out, if that's how things played out that way. I mean, I think that as long as the rules are set up, everybody, you make sure that everybody takes a look at them, and we're good.
Right now, in fantasy sports, the big argument right now is fab versus free agency or waiver wire. I know, because I have access to computers and technology all day long. I know I have an advantage in any league where, waiver wire or free agency is available because I have access at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. If news comes down that so-and-so broke his leg, I have the ability to go pick up his backup immediately.
Sure.
So, to me, that's taking advantage of a rule, but I know when I'm in leagues that are like that, that's an advantage I have. So do I follow that over to a league that I'm my own commissioner and I'm setting up the rule? Do I say, well, to make it even, I'm going to do fab, but actually I'm going to keep it, the other way because I know I have an advantage.
No, I would say I'd say that comes down to personal preference though. I mean, if there are enough owners in the league that say they want to use fab, then you need to go with your owners. But if nobody's saying anything and that's how you like it.
And then is that taking advantage of the rules also where at 1 o'clock you're sitting by a computer and you get information that so-and-so broke his leg and you go pick up his backup right away? Is that taking advantage of the rules? I've had other people say that's cheating. No, I was at work. I lay blacktop all day long. I can't pick the guy up. You've cheated. I didn't. So
I don't think that's not cheating though, because if you have that advantage, who's to say that? I mean, if there are 12 people in the league, so you mean to tell me that 11 other folks in your league are just off doing stuff like the entire day?
Joey, you're trying to say something because I know you don't know a lot about fantasy, but do you understand what I'm saying?
I would say because of other things, I think you should always put rules in place that favor, I'm going to use the term from poker, recreational players, because those are the people who are basically making the skilled players money. So always let the rules and I say the same thing in pool, or I say something similar in pool. People say, what kind of rules do you want to play by? League rules, house rules, what rules? I say, as long as we're playing by the same ones, I don't care. Just tell me what rules you want to play by. Back to if I'm shooting a person for pool for money, tell me what rules you want to play by. And as long as you're playing by the same rules as me, I don't care.
Right.
So, and back to, because that same player, if I say I only play league rules, he might not want to shoot me for money. But if I say, hey, I'll give you 2 balls, I'll give you the 7 and the 8, play a 9 ball, he wants to play because he thinks he may have an edge. Whatever keeps the person who is winning you, who's potentially paying you the money, I say those are the rules you should, completely break them completely. But if all of us were competitive at fantasy sports and we, knew it inside and out, there's not much of an edge. So we need people who are weak at fantasy football. Anything we could do to get them to play with us, the better. That's not cheating, because that's who we want in our league. We want the weak players in there. So as long as it gives us, as long as we keep our edge and we play by the same rules, I say go for it.
The problem with the scenario that we're talking right now, which to me is almost the perfect scenario, is it doesn't have a skill level weight to it. because technically,
that's what I'm saying. What does the weak fantasy football player want to do? And that's what I want to do.
Well,
because I want to play in my league.
The problem is this has nothing to do with weak or strong. It has to do with, do you have access to a computer all day? And I don't.
Well, the weaker player wouldn't be staring at Twitter or whatever, checking the news.
No. And that same player is going to put their lineup in and never change it throughout the whole season. They just do their 20, 50, whatever, money you're playing for. That
right.
To them, it's gambling. And that's all.
Like I started with, I have an advantage. I have an advantage if it's set up to free agency and waiver wire because I have access all day long. To be real honest, I also have an advantage if it's fab dollars because I have better idea of values and things like that. I've been in home leagues where, the first week someone spends their whole $100 fab on one guy, because they want to make sure they get him and blah, blah, blah. Where I know 5 weeks from now I can spend half that and get a guy that's going to be even more effective. You know what I'm saying? So I personally feel I have an advantage. I have more of an advantage when it comes to fab in a home league because I think my knowledge helps me more. I also have an advantage in free agency because my ability to be in front of a computer all day long gives me the ability to make a move all the time.
So I guess it's no different than, video games. I've seen these people into those video games. You can play these like Fortnite style games that are free, but you can buy a bunch of shit that makes you better. I mean, is that cheating? If you can buy, armor and this and that and trade and do all this versus a guy who just downloaded the game and is trying to win the legitimate way. I mean, is that cheating? Just because people don't use their resources doesn't mean. Go ahead.
That free game makes over $2 million a day. And it's free. It's pretty amazing.
You heard the story about the guy who had Flappy Bird would have been like a millionaire if he monetized it, but
Fortnite is free, but they make $200. They make $2 million every day.
I know that's the popular game right now, but I'm saying I know there's a lot of games out there where maybe you have to pay for the game. I don't know. That's irrelevant, but you can buy armor or. Like Call of Duty. I know if you played the game, you could pick up certain pieces along the way. So people would play the game even though they hated it, just so they could get this ammo or that armor or this blah, blah, blah. So when they played online,
cheating, right?
That's not cheating. Absolutely not.
But isn't that right? But is that similar to kind of what you guys are saying? Just because you have access to something or you put in the legwork, that's not cheating, wrong, anything, and then whatever.
When my oldest son was first getting into Call of Duty or one of those games, I went up in his bedroom one day and I was watching. I'm like, what are you doing? He was shooting something. They were just standing on the screen. He would shoot the guy. He'd be dead. The game would end. They would start up again, just the two of them. The other guy would shoot him a bunch. He'd die, and they'd start again. I had to go, what the hell are you doing? He goes, we're clearing out games so we can get bonus points to get other weapons. They both knew each other. They were doing nothing more than killing each other, starting another game so that they got credit for kills.
But see,
I would go buy a different rifle.
So in the poker terms, I would call that collusion. I would say that is cheating. However, at the same point in time, as long as Call of Duty is okay with you guys doing that, then so be it. My point is just because someone's willing to put the legwork, it doesn't make it cheating.
Yeah. And I don't think what they were. I'm kind of
now when you're like a collusion. Like if you're like a bookie saying everyone's putting their money on the New York Jets. Holy shit! Let's change the line so people start putting money on that's now you're a bookie. With fantasy football, when you start changing certain parameters because you see where the money's going,
right?
Well, that's cheating,
raking Right. My big home league has a meeting every July where we sit down and adjust rules or decide, are we changing any rules this year? And we have the same thing. The meeting is scheduled, which it's already scheduled for this July. And if you don't come, you get no vote and you can't bitch about it. Meaning, we have never had 12 people show up to the July meeting where we make up rules. It's always 6 of us or 7. 1 year it might have been 5, but we just say we're going to sit here and discuss rules and we're going to vote on it. You have no say if you are not present,
and that's fair.
Yeah, we feel it is. I mean, and you will get people go, oh, I didn't know you changed that rule. You should have come to the meeting. We post it. We also post it. Here's the new rule. show up.
Nowadays that's the worst excuse ever.
I didn't know.
Yeah. Plain ignorance.
Right.
Ignorance is
that doesn't work anymore.
Is the worst ever these days because Facebook and Twitter and
but even FaceTime.
No way.
I don't
FaceTime
know.
in there. We would. I mean, if someone said I can't be there, can I come be on FaceTime or be there? We would say sure. But most of them they're like whatever. And I show up every time because I'm dedicated and that's just me with fantasy. But at the same time, I also know if I didn't show up, they just told me the rules, I'm still going to be one of the better players. I mean, I'm so into, just tell me the rules and I'm going to be competitive regardless. But I'm there.
I would want to show up just because I would want to know what the new rules are so that I can figure out how I can get an edge based on that information.
Everyone will have that. Meaning, right after the meeting, we post all the new rules. So it's not like they don't have that information. The key is they don't have any input in those new rules. Meaning, obviously, if I'm there, I will put in a rule or argue for a rule that helps me in some cases. And if it passes, it passes. That means I was there and tried to get them, hey, it's back to, the keeper. This year our big thing is, do we want to keep doing keepers or not? Blah, blah, blah. And, I will put in my 2 cents of what I think makes me a better, it'll make me more competitive in the league. And hopefully it votes that way. But at the same time, in this league, I also know if I wasn't there at all and they made the rules, I'm still going to be competitive because I know enough to, I can work around any rule. So
was that the league you're telling me about? That was it the keepers? What the value, the round, or whatever decreases by 2?
We screwed up what the value was. So now the key is, are they going to keep it that way or not for next year? And obviously you have to keep it in play this year because you drafted and traded and made things happen last year based on these keepers for this year. So we cannot fix. You can't go back and fix.
Like, how do you reset that? You can.
You can't reset it. But what we can do is say next year's keepers, are going to be this. I mean, you can't change it this year because things already happened.
Someone's got to keep track of that. But
so there are like for instance, somebody I know late in the season traded and got Julian Edelman, when he was hurt. But he got him because he was hurt at the beginning of last season. Right. So he went in our draft like 17th round. Right. So this year you're going to get him for the 15th round, which before he got in or before he got suspended, that's a hell of a value. That's a hell of a value. So that guy deserves to have that. Even this year being suspended, that's a value. You get Edelman in round 15, that's a steal.
Oh yeah. But
the point is that trade took place because of a keeper rule. So you can't change it now. So so
I mean, it's a bad
because the other guy, the guy who drafted him at the end of last year, because remember, he got hurt in preseason. So the guy who drafted him knew he was drafting him late and was going to hold on to him. And he did. He held on to him a long time, but he was still competitive and he needed to make a deal to get a player for that, for last year. So he traded Edelman, who was a 15-round pick for, I don't remember what the other side of the trade was, but
that's pretty solid though.
Yeah, but you have to do it. He held on to him that long, stayed competitive, and then you make a move. So
that's savvy. I like it.
That's where we're at. So we're all about pushing the rules, bending maybe, breaking if you don't get caught, right? I mean, come on. What's the that doesn't matter, So when it comes to fantasy, comes to poker, I think poker's a little harder because usually, obviously if you're in a tournament or playing like that, you have people watching over, so they're going to kind of dictate rules and keep track. Like I said, we're golfers, nobody really watching. So I think that's a little bit different as far as that goes. And, it's back to the collusion thing. To me, on online poker, that's the hardest thing to, keep up. And in home, in home poker games. Now, the group I play with is not a bunch of high-end poker players, but they are doing, again, it's not collusion, but they are reaching in the muck, pulling cards out in the middle of a hand.
Showing the person next to them their whole card.
We do that shit.
I find hysterical because it helps me. I mean, I know enough about poker to know, well, he's pulling those cards out of the muck because, obviously
they
something
hit gold,
on the board.
they helped them.
Yeah. They're not pulling out 7-2 you know,
when
to show
7-7 deuce comes out going, oh,
Yeah.
Oh my God!
So if I'm
so you know
holding
the
pocket-
sevens and deuces are dead.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If I've got pocket aces and there's 7-7 deuce
time
out
to go
there and that
berserk.
just happened,
Yeah.
I definitely am not afraid of, you know, pushing much.
You block 7 deuce.
Yeah. And he has played with us for 3 years. We have one guy, he cannot keep the cards on the table. Cannot. They are in his lap. I can't tell you how many times we've gone past and he goes, don't I get to make a choice? Where the fuck are your cards? He's always got them like in his hands between his lap. I'm like, in a real poker game for real money, you're going to get shot someday if that's how you hold your goddamn cards. But he's not cheating. He's not cheating.
But that's the point. But that's the point. If you did it, I'd call you out. Like, Mark, if you don't keep your fucking cards on the table, I'm done.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
I agree.
When you know someone who's weak, you just shut your mouth. You just shut your mouth and move on.
I agree.
Yeah.
You might say something like, hey, dude, don't get mad that the action skipped you because your cards weren't on the table. We didn't see the cards were there. Because it happens the opposite for me. I'll be the dealer and I'll throw a turn card and I'll go, well, wait, I didn't check. Well, I thought it was heads up. I'm still in the hand. Yeah. I wanted to bet. You cost me a bet. I'm like, well, no, I got to see your cards. Yeah. I'm just going to throw a turn. You know.
The other part is, and again, I'll use it even though I have caught, and the word caught is you can tell that the guy sitting beside that other guy sees the other guy's cards constantly. You know, I mean, have you ever been in that table where you're like, I've sat there and I'm looking at him. I can tell he's just kind of glancing down, seeing the other guy's cards because the other guy is just holding them out here like they're, we're playing old maid, and, I will, again, I'm never going to say anything, but I'll take that information, if he's looking at those cards and he's calling, then I'm guessing the guy's not got a full house. You know what I'm saying? I mean, versus, if I know he kind of peaked a little bit and he folded, then I'm like, oh shit, maybe the guy does have something. To me, that's information. I'm not going to turn somebody in. I'm just going to use it to my advantage. Not cheating. Is it cheating if I don't call that guy out? If I don't look over and go, hey, you got to quit looking at dickhead's cards. I get it. He's a dickhead. He's holding them out in the thing. That's an advantage you have. Maybe for big money, I would call somebody out. But other than that, I'm just going to take that information and use it for my own and go, all right, so-and-so, I know so-and-so glanced at the cards and he's calling. So dickhead that holds his cards out too far probably doesn't have shit. So,
but I mean, shit, you see that at the casino all the time. I mean, honestly,
do that.
Casino. I mean, you see it. I mean, it is what it is. And like I said, most of the time, I think most poker players respect the person who's doing that shit is the reason why we're all sitting at the table. I mean, if someone is sitting there, showing their whole cards. I mean, I've been guilty where someone's wanting to show me. It's just like, okay, cool, yeah, dude, you missed a straight flush. I mean, whatever. I mean, we get it. I think now the whole table gets it. But I mean, it's one of those things where it's part of the game, and I think as long as it's a weak player doing it, and it's kind of everything we've talked about the show. As long as it's a weak player doing it, they kind of get a hall pass with it.
Yeah, right. I agree. My point is,
but that's the other thing. Weak player who does that shit and wins a couple $100 that night, you also got to pat him on the back and go, hell yeah, man.
You get yours.
Yeah.
Come on back.
You would have come back next week.
Yeah. See you next week, right?
Because in the long run, it's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, and trust me, I never let anyone win, but I am one of those that if a couple people win, if somebody wins that doesn't normally win, I'm like, man, you were hot tonight, man. I just couldn't catch card. I will play them up. Yeah. And again, I haven't played online in a long time, and somebody got me hooked on online a little bit again.
Oh my God.
Back to rules. It just, didn't change. Immediately you sit down and, you click on the chat thing and there's a person berating somebody for playing bad. That's the whole point. And
that's why I turn that stuff off.
I spend a lot of time trying to find a table where there's a fish or two, and I got some idiot over here, scaring.
But you know what the thing is? I think nowadays I think it actually encourages the fish to continue to be a fucking idiot. I really do.
Yeah,
I really do because. I think next thing you know, they're playing now. They went from maybe playing 40% of hands to like all of them because they just can't wait to bust the guy. It's like Phil Hellmuth. Phil Hellmuth, runs his mouth properly so because he knows in spots he gets calls that there's not another player at the table that would have got. Period. Yeah. Because people want to run his ass down, and that's why I feel he's not an aggressive what you see on
He
TV.
doesn't have to be.
He's not a very aggressive player
No.
because he knows he's going to get action, and he knows he's going to get action. But yet you as a home viewer, you're like, what a dumbass! He's smooth called with pocket aces. He deserved to get beat. He deserved it. But at the same point in time, you don't see the 100 other pots where he put the chips in front of him that put him to that final table.
Right.
That one time he explodes because it didn't work out to his advantage.
Right.
Because in the long run, I don't care what 2 cards are in deck. Aces are going to hold up.
We've had that argument a lot.
The range of hands.
Pre-recorded, edited poker tournaments.
Correct.
Is no way to learn how to play poker.
Now,
absolutely not.
No, but I will say one thing. After watching live poker, Antonio Esfandiari, or however the hell you say his name, is by far the poker player to me. It's like, holy shit. Because he will commentate when you don't see whole cards. And he'll go, I think this person's here, this person's there, this person's representing this. And he'll even change his mind as the turn card comes, the river card comes. And there's times he just goes, oh, that's the reason why I'm commentating and I'm not the final table because they're playing better than me right now. But there's other times like, holy shit, he
called
dead on. I mean, he was dead on. I mean,
back to Phil. I listened to the World Series of Poker live on radio back. I mean, they weren't doing it live at all TV back in the day, but you could go on to a radio and listen to that. And Phil Hellmuth, I listened to him from like midnight to like 4 a.m. for 4 hours. Mm-hmm. The boy was getting a lot of it right. I mean, even the guy that was with him, even the guy who was with him, which I don't know his name, he's a guy who wrote a book. I got like 3 or 4 of his poker books. He even would go, I can't believe Phil got that right again. It was Phil commentating and Phil just watching. I mean, it's a different game. And Phil's better than we all give him credit for if you go by his rap.
There's a reason why he's got the most bracelets. I mean, it's not a coincidence.
Right. And again, he was getting those bracelets in his 20s. I mean, he's been a poker player for a long time.
I watched a video and it's kind of funny, and I'm not a Daniel Negreanu fan. I think anyone who's listened to this cast knows that. But you would watch these videos of Daniel Negreanu. I think you've got King 9, and you see these videos of him being a genius. Like, holy shit, the guy had King 9. But I think it's actually funny because I watched a strategy video with him where he realized we came to poker with the wrong approach. The approach that we got wrong was putting him on an exact hand. Nowadays, poker it's a range of hands.
Right, a tier.
Aces, kings, queens, jacks, or is it like a 9-7 suited, Jack 10 suited? Now it's less. This is exactly what you have. So those videos of Daniel Negreanu, even him admitting, for me to call you out on King 9 on the dot was me being wrong. What I should have said of like a King X suited. You know what I mean? Where it's one of those where nowadays in poker, you're no longer putting someone on a one exact hand, you're putting them on a range of hands. Mm-hmm. And I think that was kind of cool because the same player who looked like a genius for doing it is also one admitting like we went about poker wrong doing that. Like we should have never have done that. It's a range. It's not
back to my
exact absolute.
My problem would be is you're saying wrong. I don't think it's wrong. It's changed.
Correct. It's evolved.
So many hands. It's changed because it's back to.
People play dumb shit now.
Well, but tournament and just a ring game.
Quite honestly,
back to when you play a ring game, people don't even realize in a ring game where you're playing just for cash every hand, and you're playing. People don't realize that those same guys play against each other all the time. There truly is. He knows. I know he knows that I know, so I have to do this. And that's why they get that 5 and 10 and 15 minutes because they need to stop and go, I got to put him on this, but I also think he's putting me on this, but I have this. So he's probably going to think I wouldn't do that unless I had this. So, I mean, it goes 3 and 4 deep when you're playing the same guy, a year. When they were playing that millionaire guy for a year, and it was the same big pros and there was big money, reading some of the stories and some of the things that have been written about that game, these poker pros, the thought process is phenomenal. I mean, it just is. I mean, and I'm not even close, and I feel I'm a decent poker player, but they're thinking shit that I would have never even thought about. I mean, it's just a whole nother game.
I honestly feel like in a lot of ways, and I've been playing it more than ever for very low stakes, but for stakes, is Omaha is a big game, I think, taught ranges. And you realize with 4 cards and having to play 2, to put someone on a cold hand, you're never going to do it when you're getting dealt 4 cards. So Omaha, for me, is a game where even me with my mind has changed. You know, you start reading boards, you start reading what the nuts are and draws, and you stop putting people on, I think he's got ace king. Every poker player says, I put him on ace king. Pre-flop,
right, because they've got pocket sevens.
Yeah.
They've got
every poker story starts and ends with, I was putting him on ace king, so fuck it, I went all in. But Omaha, I think, was the game that taught me and is teaching me currently. It's a range. Is he on a draw or is he on a made hand? And it's based on kind of the influence of the betting, meaning, you know, if he's betting strong, and that's a weird thing I've learned about Omaha, you see people a little bit more aggressive on a draw than they do on a made hand because they're kind of wanting a fold, but they're okay with a call. You know, and so to me, that's where it becomes a range of hands. And quite honestly, sometimes I'm shaking in my boots when I flop the nuts. It's like, oh boy, I flopped the nuts. It's Omaha. Oh my god! And then the board, and you flop the nuts straight, and then like without take, you know, the board pairs on the turn. You're like, oh gosh, now the board paired, and then the flush card comes on the river. And then you realize, like, I should have put this guy on a range of hands, not on an absolute. Oh, I had him on ace king. Well, he had 4 cards, so you can't put him on ace king. You have to put him on a range of hands.
Yeah, ace, king. So there it is.
That is the best hand, double suited. You know?
All right. I'm going to pull this in a little bit to another topic, and that is, did any of us grill out for Father's Day?
I did.
I mean, I know we're smokers. We're bar. Again, people have never listened to the 3 of us. We have 4 things in common: making and drinking beer.
Yep.
Playing poker.
Yep.
Barbecue and smoking.
I did not.
You did not what? Barbecue or smoke?
Correct.
And then fantasy sports, but Joey doesn't count. So,
I know how to hire a ringer.
I did. Yes. Joey came in.
I might be bending the rules.
We got second place. We got second place that year, I think, right? We missed out on the Super Bowl by like 5 points. Right. Joey joined his only fantasy league he's ever joined, and he joined it and immediately called me and said, "Here, you own this team. I put in the $50. If we win, we split the cash." I ran the whole.
No, you're right, Chris. Genius, right?
Yeah.
These people were clueless. I mean, we were in first place the whole season, and unfortunately, and Chris knows enough about fantasy. It's like poker. The best player every night isn't going to win. Yeah. We just happened to lose the week of the Super Bowl. You know, we just had players that didn't, you know. Oh, and trust me, I heard it from Mr. HBYOB there. I can't believe we lost that.
Oh my God.
And again, back to fantasy sports. You are judged on, I've always said anyway, the main thing you're judged on to me in fantasy sports is, did you make the playoffs? That's like that's going to be your number one goal.
That's all I care about.
And then the next goal is, did you make it to the Super Bowl? I get it. Everyone says, did you win a championship? And I have only one. I've been to 4 Super Bowls. I've only won 1 championship because it's just hard because there is some luck involved. Which makes fantasy and poker both have that in common. You know, you can prepare, you can be the best player, but if it's going to come down to just one game
and a coin flip
or one night, you know, luck may not, you know, luck be a lady tonight.
Frank Sinatra, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not going to always happen. So, you know, people out there that are fantasy players, you know, be competitive. That's important. But your goal should be to make your playoffs. I mean, if you make the playoffs every year or most years, you're a good player. So, you know, so Joey, I smoked 2 butts on Saturday.
For those that don't know, you mean
pork butts.
Yeah, I mean pork shoulder, Boston butts, whatever you want to call them.
Why do they call it butts beyond me? But
it's the cut.
But it's not a butt. It's not the butt of it.
It is not
a butt.
It's the butt because the way it was tied and cut. That's all I know.
That's it.
It is part of the shoulder.
But you're not
2 8, you know, 8 pounders. Did 8 pounders. I did bump my temps a little bit because I did not want to stay up till midnight. So my goal was to do about a 12-hour cook because because these two which again is back to, there's always strategy. These are 2 butts that I'm donating to a fundraiser where it's just going to be barbecue sandwiches, So
okay, yeah.
it's just going to be barbecue sandwiches. I play in a wiffle ball tournament this coming weekend, Friday and Saturday, and I donate the pork. And they, I give them buns, barbecue sauce, and pork, and they sell sandwiches for $3.
Where are they buns? So we put pork butt on buns, and neither one is a part of the bun.
And if you'd like it up to then, you can sauce the shit out of it.
All over that.
Sauce the shit out of it.
Yeah.
So I did that. Then on Sunday for Father's Day, I was told I wouldn't have to cook anything. They took care of everything except for the fact that I cooked all the brats. I cooked the chicken, and I did. I did
do the dishes.
I did not. That is normal. Here's the deal. All right. If we're going to go into this, I'm gonna ask you two, because me and Mrs. Easy have, this has become a spat over the last couple of years. I realize that my 11th anniversary, I didn't get some fancy brewing thing. Woohoo! But now for my 37th, I got a card. So that was good. There you go. But
that's nice.
That was nice. So, but I do dishes as I go. End of story. So when I'm done and the meal is prepared, there are no dishes other than what we're eating on, and but Mrs. Easy's the opposite. When the meal is done, there's dirty dishes everywhere, and then you're eating, and when you're done eating, it's like, criminy, now I got chores to do. I would much rather do it while I'm cooking.
I think we've had this conversation before, and I think it's the truth. I think we should replace all cabinetry with dishwashers.
Oh, I've said that.
That way you just
right.
Take it out of one, and if one gets full of dirty shit, you just hit the start button. That's the story.
You need to design. You have a sink. On one side there's a dishwasher, the other side there's a dishwasher.
Yeah.
And how many times do you empty the dishwasher for dinner? You eat and you fill the dishwasher back up.
The same with the same stuff. I think we should replace all bottom cabinetry with dishwashers. The top is for the nice shit.
But not everything can go in dishwashers, though. You can't put there's some pots.
Yeah, but
stuff that I don't own. Stuff that if it didn't come from the dollar store or Wolfgang Puck didn't make it, it ain't in my house.
What's the worst case? You're gonna melt a 99-cent bowl.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, I can't put that 99-cent bowl on the bottom rack.
But what about those 3 Cousin Vinny cups didn't make the heat cycle?
Hey, I've still got a couple of Big Ten cups from 2007, man.
I'm telling you, it's
classic.
I don't own anything nice enough that I would cry about if I lost. With the example of a few things, and I've lost all of them, so I got nothing left. We got nothing.
There you go.
All right, Chris, what did you barbecue? Joey said he didn't cook anything. What'd you do? What'd you cook?
We just did something simple because we had the kids out front running around, and we were just hanging out. We had the inflatable pool, sprinkler set up and whatnot. So I just did some burgers, brats, and some salmon.
Now, okay, all right. We'll go here then. Because I have now spoiled my family. We used to be the frozen, go to the freezer, here was the exact way I used to make hamburgers. I would open a drawer and get a butter knife and sit that out on the counter, because then I'd walk back to the freezer and get this long, 12-inch thing of
wax paper in between.
A bunch of paper. I'd take that butter knife and stick it in between the paper and the thing so I could get about 8 burgers off. And then at this point, I thought I was a gourmet cook. I would start the gas grill, which you guys know me now. I own 5 grills. There's not a gas one out there anymore, but I did it. I would start the gas grill, but put the frozen burgers on right when I started, because that was the unthaw period. There was that was the way I used to cook a burger.
No, can't do that, man. You gotta thaw it out.
No. It's all gourmet burger now. I take real hamburger.
I know he ain't rolling down that street.
I take real hamburger,
Yep, that's what we
I
do.
throw in some eggs, Worcestershire sauce, bacon grease, salt and pepper. I put cheese in them.
The kitchen sink.
Jalapenos now. Oh my God, they're delicious. So
Yes,
we don't do hamburgers unless Dad's going to do it. And on Father's Day, I didn't have to do it. I did do real beer brats where I cooked the brats, put them in some
Beer
IPA that I decided I'm not going to finish. I threw those brats and some onions in some IPA and let them boil for another, 35, 40 minutes. Though they are delicious that way. I'm sorry. That is the way to have a brat.
Yeah.
So
I had I had a case of Yingling left over from, I think, like wintertime or something like that. It was still good. I mean, Christina was like, is that still, can you still drink it? Like, we've had it sitting in there for months. I was like, yeah, it's fine. Like, we're just putting it in there and boiling it. So yeah,
definitely I would have no problem boiling it in there, but
yeah.
I did, like I said, I did smoke a few butts. I'm definitely a charcoal guy now. No gas grills.
Only way to do it.
I do have I have one gas smoker and I hate it, but it does work. It is one of the big ones, a big gun safe type smoker. When I'm doing a bunch of butts, it's kind of nice to fill up, but everything's pretty much charcoal and when wood.
I got gas. I mean, gas smoking feels like cheating to me. Like, I can't do it.
I couldn't do it, but I have learned enough now. I think I could. I'm pretty sure if I had a gas grill now, I could smoke and do pretty well in it. I've learned enough now. I think I could.
I don't want it. I don't want anything to do with it.
I do. I had to buy a propane tank for the first time in a long time. I bought a nice big griddle, like 36-inch griddle, and I will say,
those are nice.
Now that it's summertime and without heating up your house, it does make.
I agree.
Hamburger. I think it makes a better hamburger than charcoal. Like,
I have two gas burners outside on my deck.
They're convenient.
It's nice to have. It is really nice. Outside of breakfast and hamburgers, it doesn't do a whole lot.
Now, I'm not complaining. For
fried rice. Cool for fried rice. That's about it.
For Father's Day, for Father's Day, I had one son. One son bought me a 6-pack of beer, but then he drank like 5 beers. Now when I brought that up to him, he goes, "But I didn't drink the ones I bought you." I said, that's because he doesn't like good beer. No, but he drank all my cheap beer that I keep for cheap asses. So he still thought that was a deal. He still thought that was a deal that
in a Father's Day swap.
He bought me a $9.99, right? A $9.99 you pick it pack.
Yeah.
That and he thought that was fine, that he could drink my, Milwaukee's best. So only the best. If you're gonna have cheap shit, have the best. That's my philosophy.
They won like a blue ribbon at 1 year.
Everyone's won a blue ribbon. Everybody has scored 21.6. Everybody.
Exactly. Hey, if I can do it, you guys can do it. Without a doubt.
Right. Chris could sell a beer right now, put a label on, and go, I want, this is a 21.6.
This is 21.6.
That's what Chris.
People would have no clue what that means.
Chris, since I've never edited the so far the yeast starter video, we should do a beer making competition video. And I'll wake you up and start pouring beer down your throat.
I was just saying we should have like the Rocky theme music going on in the background.
Rising up.
Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah. And I'll make you do push-ups.
I would watch it.
Beer drinking like a big glass with 8 egg yolks in there. You just see me vomiting everywhere afterwards.
And just throwing it over your shoulder and filling it with a beer, then drinking beer.
Yes.
Who's going to do that shit?
I'm in. Yeah.
I would watch it. I would watch that.
Well, that requires me putting effort in on video editing, and that is not one of my.
And that's why we do these shows live.
Yes,
exactly.
None of us want to take the time to edit this shit.
That's just it. Yeah. Though I believe we all can edit video, the percentage of it happening becomes lower by the day goes by.
Yeah.
So live is the way to go.
Yep.
I'm no argument here whatsoever.
Unfiltered, just like my beer.
Yeah. And uncarbonated, just like mine.
And not to mention, how many times do we get hung up on words and say "fuck" when we're shooting a video versus when we're live? We just flap at the gums with no effort.
That was just the worst. Yeah. What was my line again? Fuck. Oh well.
Well, then you can edit that. That's all.
I should
But
say,
I did get.
I could edit a blooper reel real easy. I've got more footage of bloopers than I do of content.
Right now, can you put out a blooper without ever putting out the real video? Is that even
That actually would probably get more hits
there
than
a
the actual
blooper?
video.
What was that fishing guy? I believe that was how he became famous. What
Yeah.
was the fishing guy?
No, the
You know
guy
what I'm
with the
talking about?
Tennessee hat, the guy with the no,
Not Doyle
that
Brunson.
came
He's a
later.
poker player. But you know what I'm talking about. I know him more for the bloopers than I do the fishing videos. Him
Now
kissing
I'm trying
the
to
fish
think
and
of
all
his
that
name.
shit.
Bill
Bill Dance.
Bill
Bill
something.
Dance.
Bill Dance.
Bill
Oh
Dance.
yeah,
I do it more for the bloopers than I do.
All right, but still, let's take that all the way back to what started this. Is that scamming us when that
Yes.
bastard every
Someone put a-
half hour
put a
when
fish
you
on
watch him fish for a
Yeah.
half hour,
Bought
never
a fish.
once, right?
Some farm pond that was 2 feet wide. He
Yeah.
fought it for like 45 minutes, even though some scuba diver put the fish down there to get the perfect shot.
Right. See that?
That's a
See that?
scam.
I would watch a Phil Mickelson, instead of golf, if he now did fishing and he sat in that boat for a half hour and then threw that fucking rod in the water and went, God damn this,
Now,
that would be
entertaining.
more.
I know
That
the
would be
I know the
entertaining.
I know all the infomercials with the spray on hair, the pocket fisherman, and all that. We need to see the amount of time it took to get the good footage. It took 18 hours to get 20 minutes of like showable
it's like-
footage.
Chris, it's like all these.
It's like
you
those,
see all
those the Ronco rotisserie. It's like I put shit in one of those and it didn't look like the infomercial. It looked
My-
nothing like it.
But my daughter will sit and watch an hour of these stupid trick shot basketball things on YouTube. And I'm like,
Oh yeah.
who cares? One,
Yeah.
if it even happened, I'm like, but you don't know it took him 3 days to do that trick shot. You know what I'm saying? Meaning,
Yeah.
I don't.
Isn't like Dude Perfect like one of the top 10 most viewed YouTube
A
channels?
lot of
all
that
time?
shit. A lot of that shit
I
gets a
don't know.
million views.
Yeah.
And it's like, why do I care?
Yeah, I don't care.
You know,
I don't care.
I just love I love the QVC fails. If you ever get a chance to watch the QVC
Those are
fails,
hilarious.
where they like cut
okay,
open
because
into a
that's
steak and
live,
it's just
right? That's live.
raw
Those
as
are
raw gets. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
that didn't work out too well.
Still, the best is the news lady making wine.
Yeah.
There is nothing better.
Have you ever seen that, Chris?
That woman making
Have you seen
wine.
it, Chris?
one. I don't
Oh my
remember
God.
that one.
She's stomping grapes and then falls off a damn 5-foot
But
thing.
wait, there's
And
more.
it knocks the wind out of her.
But wait, there's more.
There.
They have a competition, Chris, and they're stomping on grapes, and they say stop. So she's going to be a smartass and gets in those few couple stomps, which trips her to fall off a podium, which knocks the wind out of her while she's still mic'd, and she is just gut. And she has this look of evil on her face when she's going to cheat to,
Yeah.
Okay.
to accomplish a couple extra
And then-
stomps.
Yeah.
And she gets
With that being said, we've all been there. There's nothing worse than
No.
the wind knocked out of
Not
you.
like that.
The wind
I've never
knocked
been
out of
knocked
you.
like that.
I would rather
Yeah.
be knocked out than the wind knocked out of me.
If that
You
ever
know,
happened to
I
me,
mean,
you'd never
Yeah,
see
I'll
me
give you
again.
that. I give you that.
If that happened to me live on camera, you would never see me again.
When you get the wind knocked out, you do fear you will never get it back.
Yeah.
You're
So
pretty
the right
you
idea
are
is
pretty
to
sure
stay
you
calm.
you think you witnessed your own last breath.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I'm dying.
Like,
So
that's it. It's a wrap.
The right way to comprehend it is, or to counteract it is, to breathe, like hyperventilate and breathe as fast as you can.
Yeah.
You get the wind knocked out, it's like, I got to breathe 1,000 times per second, right? That's
In
the
order to
best
get all
way
that,
to
get
compensate
all
for
that
the fact
air
that got
back.
the wind shot out of me.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
I'm
I would
Googling
watch
it.
that. I would
Watching
watch
someone
that.
break putting rules and Chris stomp grapes. It's hilarious.
But now, and again, me and Joey work somewhere where we can watch TV all day long. Joey loves
no,
people getting hurt. Yes, you would always watch those videos. It didn't matter, anybody was going to get hurt. Joey's watching it. Skateboard killers.
Oh yeah.
all that shit. Joey, I find no entertainment in it.
well, when
Will I
was,
watch something where someone gets hurt and it just happens?
Or like
Phil
the-
Nicholson would have
the
smacked
old,
somebody with his club.
The old
I-
ECW fighting or wrestling ones where like the guy like breaks his leg, you just see his like leg like
Yeah.
dangling or something like that. Like
It's
those-
not that I'll
oh, man.
But when you click on something in YouTube that says, top 10 skateboard fails, people are going to get hurt. You know,
oh yeah,
struggle.
As a kid, I was kind of a daredevil.
Video.
So the fact that I've had golf ball. I had an elbow that was the size of a golf ball for like a year and a half. I still have a lump in my ear that hasn't gone. Like I've done some dumb crap. So watching epic fails, it's like, yeah, I did that. It happened.
I know, but it's still too
entertainment.
I don't know. I just don't enjoy knowing that someone's going to get hurt. If it happens, it happens.
Okay, tell me you've never had a kid who was just starting to walk and like falls flat on their face, and even though it's your child and they fell, there's still a lot of comedy, but I did comedy behind it where you laugh first and ask the second.
Okay, but the point is you didn't know what was going to happen. If you just said, "Hey, watch this," here's a video of 10 one-year-olds failing to walk, and they're all going to bang their face on the edge of a table.
I'm not watching that video.
Okay, but that's the thing. The Jackass side that became all the thing where I wasn't the type of person that would go watch the Jackass movies because they did that on purpose. They signed up to rack their nuts on whatever. Right. To me, the fails are those. They did something stupid, yes, but their intentions were to make
you to see it.
It was a win. They were shooting for a win, but a fail is what happened.
They didn't do it for your entertainment.
I like the underdog story. That's all. I like the underdog story. The underdog thought he could make the ramp, and he did not. And he face planted it.
And he did not.
I find it hilarious. Now, if you ramp it on bad, I
am not going to tell you, and I'll use the politically correct word. A heavy mom on a little mini bike that doesn't know how to stop it and runs through the neighbor's fence. That's funny.
Okay, Ronald's hilarious.
I would be crying. Yeah, I'd be crying.
I would be crying. Yeah, there is something about mom knowing where the throttle is, but not the brake.
Well, no, it's the clutch. The throttle isn't the problem. It's the clutch. The clutch.
No, it's just they don't know how to stop. They don't know how to stop.
They just let go of that clutch, and the bike don't want to.
Okay. But I also know you hate the guy going down the highway riding a wheelie, but you'll love when he crashes.
No.
That guy's probably dead.
No, I've seen many videos of that guy
walk away, but I've
also seen them. I've also seen them live. I mean, I have been driving down the highway, and that bastard's driving. I mean, he just was riding a wheelie right down the damn highway.
I guess where you're right and you're wrong. I like the instant karma videos now. The ones where people are being jackasses and they deserved, and then you see it happen. You're like, oh, they kind of deserve that.
Back to
what you get riding a wheelie in the middle of rush hour traffic at 5:00 p.m.
Yeah, I have been driving a long time, and it just happened to me a few months back for one of the first times that I can ever remember where someone blew by me, and I'm like, so he was weaving in and just barreling ass. And I'm like, oh, that fucker gets pulled over. And you go like 2 miles down the road and he's pulled over. Yes. I got a chubber. I was like, I was like so excited that happened to that guy. I would have been upset if I pulled up and saw his car upside down in the ditch. That would not have been as entertaining. Just knowing he got pulled over, though, I was rather excited. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Shit.
Well,
I did know one thing. Speaking of food, I don't want to harp about too much, but hearing Anthony Bourdain passed away I gotta honestly say, was very tragic to me. I actually followed him quite a bit, and I'm sad to hear him go. He was someone as far as food and everything he'd been through in his life, he was someone I very highly respected. And I'd like to say I'm sad to hear him go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
I did not know of his work, so
I did enough to,
I knew who he
to just
was,
know I got it. He just seemed like a very down, and you watch some of the interviews, he made people feel comfortable, and he loved food, and he would eat stuff that I'm not, and I'm brave with food.
I would
and
never
he always respected the culture of people and where it came from and what they endured to do it. And he always respected even people who came from, third world countries. He respected the fact that they were willing to feed him, and that meant the world to him. And it's just sad to see someone like that go. Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry.
That's all I gotta say.
Way to bring us down.
Well, we were laughing. We were talking food. It made me think of it.
Way to bring us down.
It's just unexpected. Unexpected.
All right. Chris, is there any? I know mini camps or OTAs ended. Mini camps or what in a week or so?
Yeah.
Is there anything happened this week in the football world you want to bring up?
Nothing that I can think of off the top of my head. Just some like
Didn't didn't the Browns sign like a?
They took a flyer they took a flyer on Greg Robinson, if I'm not mistaken. And I mean, that's about it. Otherwise, they're talking about all the rookies finally signing their deals, and that's about it. Really, nothing too major going on in the fantasy world. I think everybody's
all right. You say that, but I mean, Tom Brady talked about retiring when he's 45. What do you think about that?
Don't care. He's playing this year. That's really all I care about. I don't have any shares of him in Dynasty, so it's like,
all right.
Then okay.
Also, Madden. The Madden ratings leaked out or got out today.
Yeah.
Did you listen to or pay any attention to that? They have only 3 players ranked at a 99. One of those was Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Saw
that.
Was the other one David Johnson?
He was pretty high. I want to say it was like, I think it was like 97.
There were 3 that were ranked as 99s, which obviously I think the only 100 they ever had was Michael Vick.
Yep.
I could be wrong. I'm not a Madden person, but and Joey, I don't even know if you know, but obviously the Madden game, they rate players so that when you play as those players, they have, better performance and better abilities. So, and I think the other 99 was a defensive guy from the Rams who hasn't signed yet, if I'm not mistaken.
Aaron Donald.
I think he's a 99. So
Aaron Donald. That sounds about right.
So I think there's only 3 99s. I found it odd that they have Tom Brady ranked number 2 out of the quarterbacks. Surprised me because I don't think Tom Brady's going to, a lot of people don't realize he fell off last year.
He wasn't
the
great.
team has to use a wide receiver. They're going to have a running game this year. I think he was rated a 92 or a 95, which was pretty high. And then they had Drew Brees as a 90. So that was kind of the quarterback ratings for the new Madden game. That was kind of
the one that kind of poked out though, was I saw that they had Lamar Jackson at like I think his speed score was somewhere like I think his overall ranking was somewhere in like the 67, 70s or something like that. And a lot of folks were complaining about that, knowing how much potential he has in league.
Right. Well, but you can't rate. It's like fantasy. You can't rate on potential. I mean, he's not in any fantasy mock draft. He's not rated very high. You know, because, and like I said, we talked last week, and trust me, I've been. Again, I'm a mock draft crazy. Didn't play as much poker this week because I've been mock drafting now. All my mock draft software is up to date now. I've done a few of those. It's back to, and I told you I'm debating the strategy of one top quarterback and then not taking a quarterback till the last round, and that would be taking him or taking what's his name for Cleveland?
Oh, either Tyrod Taylor or they said Baker Mayfield. He's not ready. They're saying he's not ready.
Okay, that's fine. But if I can draft Mayfield in the 18th round, and actually we draft 20. So if I draft him in the 20th and I can keep him in the 18th, next year, and then the 16th, and then I'm just saying, I think Lamar Jackson's the one I would prefer to do that with, but there's still a shot that he starts the season.
There is,
So,
all right, Chris, I've got one thing for you. Do you have a moment?
What's up?
See if we can make this work.
All right.
This is all that you got. This.
Oh,
here
we go. I remember that one.
Watch. Have you seen this? All right.
Yeah, they're stomping on the grapes or whatever, and then. Which one is it? Is it the one that? Oh, there she goes. Oh, damn!
I had no sound though. Audio is still the best. The audio of that.
Oh, you got no audio? Oh,
no, I had no audio. Because I'm telling you,
goodness.
now that you did that, I forgot about their faces because I'm telling you, that lady, I'm going to record that. That needs to be my ringtone when Mrs. Easy calls me.
There you go.
I'm telling you, that needs to be my ringtone when Mrs. Easy, because I always think it's my last breath when she's calling anyway. So, but that video is and now Joey.
Classic.
That being said, you have to watch the Phil Mickelson. But when you watch that, there are other things you can type in. Pro golfers. Gone bad or whatever. And there's all kinds of. There was actually
Breaking
all kinds of things
where.
Tiger Woods has thrown a club. I mean, they've all done it.
Yeah,
but
broken putters, broken irons.
They still say all that is fine, but it's sacrilegious or whatever to touch that ball when it's still moving. You can cuss, you can break your clubs, you can do all that crap, but that touching that ball, moving the ball, period, is which I'm sorry. And it's even back to that. That is such a major rule. I have a problem in golf that they can even pick the ball up on the green. I get it that that's the way they've done it, and they can clean the ball.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is.
Watch it. Look at him. And he's like, "Oh shit,
Go run it down. Run it down."
No, fuck this. I'm out.
Whack! I'm telling you.
Oh shit.
It almost went in. That was the other issue. They said if it had gone in, he actually would have only got a 1-stroke penalty because he would have got credited for it going in.
He missed it again.
No, that's the shot. That was the one. Yeah. So no, you need to keep going because he walks right towards the other pro that's standing there. The other pro is already laughing his ass off.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty fun.
All I just saw was a caddy.
The other pro golfer, you might not realize the other pro golfer, I'm trying to think what his name is. He's from another country. He's got that big ass beard that hangs down here. He's actually a pretty crazy looking guy.
Maybe that's who I just saw. Maybe that was who I just saw.
He does.
It looked like a caddy to me.
He could be one of the Geico.
Even a caveman could do it.
Yeah, he's got this huge beard and this crazy hair. He's pretty funny. So, and I don't know. Did you notice on Sunday when we had someone almost shoot a 61 or?
I didn't catch that.
62, I mean. Fleetwood missed he was putting awesome. No one in the U.S. Open has ever shot a 62. There's been 6 of them that have shot a 63 in one round. He was putting on 18, maybe a 2 to 3 foot putt, and he just missed it and ended up shooting a 63. It would have been the first time ever in the U.S. Open that someone shot a 62. It was. He ended up tied. If he'd have made that, he would have tied and there'd have been a playoff. Instead, he got second place. So same thing. He played early in the day and came way back. It was pretty.
It's a good day.
Yeah, it was fun. So last thing on fantasy, just a few minutes, and that's I just wanted Chris's opinion on where do you prefer to play? Are you ESPN, a Yahoo, CBS, Fantrax? Do you have a preference?
I've been getting into Fantrax a little bit, mostly just because I write there. But I would say for my casual leagues, I prefer ESPN. I think their interface is a little bit easier to kind of maneuver. The app is a little bit easier to use, but that just could be because I've used it a little bit longer. But I would also say that I think ESPN's rankings. Like their rankings are, I think, a bit more
horrible. I think you're going the other way than me. I think they're horrible, and I think that gives me an advantage.
That's
that I don't use those rankings.
They're a bit farther off than the other sites that I go to, like any of like 4for4, Yahoo or wherever. They're like ESPN's rankings are far off. Like they're just enough that I know that I can find value even in like the earlier rounds.
It's back to even on I just renewed my Football Guys thing, and in Football Guys you can import your teams and your leagues, and let's just say week 5 ESPN will show me versus Bob Smith, and Bob Smith will be projected to beat me by 12 points. Football guys will have me projected to win by 12 points. I mean, they'll be that far off.
Yeah.
It's like, pretty crazy. So
yeah, it's pretty significant. So that I like playing on there because a lot of the guys that I'll play with, that's all that they stare at.
Right.
They'll make lineup decisions based off.
And I've even done that based on waiver wire. I go to waiver wire and go, okay, I see these couple people need players. The rest probably won't even, you learn real quick who doesn't even pick up anybody. Yeah. So you're like, you know what? They're all going to pick the first 3 guys on that board because they're rated the highest on ESPN. And I'll get the 6th guy, which is probably the highest rated on any other site. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so it does give you an advantage.
Oh, I'm 100% with you. So that's why I prefer going there because everyone will just look at Yahoo those rankings.
I hated Yahoo. CBS was tolerable.
Yeah, CBS was okay. NFL.com, I played in a couple of leagues over there. They're okay.
This is something that I found back on ESPN this year. Now, I'm going to tell you, maybe I missed it. Todd Daly, there's nothing better than Todd Daly.
That's not Todd.
That's John Daly.
Yeah, there it goes.
John Daly's, he's the best. Yeah, there's nobody better. But
he's a gambler.
Chris, a couple years, that kid got a souvenir. Look at that. I got a 9-iron. But Chris, I want your opinion because I like this setting, but for the last couple of years I couldn't find it. So I don't know if they either moved it to where I could find it now or they just added it back. And that is the win and the loss point. Do you know what I'm talking about? And are you for or against it?
I like it because I think for not necessarily like tiebreakers for that week, but like towards the end of the season, I think that also helps. And then it's kind of one of those extra bonuses that I like tacking on like for the league. I like adding it in. I thought it was always under the custom.
And obviously in any given week, if you're starting 13 players, that can be 13 points. If you're actually it could be 26 points because I set it up to where you get 1 for the win and a -1 for the loss. That's a 2-point swing. So, I mean, it makes you, if again, a tiebreaker of 2 players, do I want the guy who's more likely to win? There's an advantage. Yeah. I still think they need to take it 1 more spot higher. I would like to see a win total for a quarterback be higher, meaning, and maybe even to be where that's the only one you pick, meaning your quarterback gets an extra 6 points if his team wins, and he gets like, let's say -3 if his team loses, meaning I've seen quarterbacks where they play a hell of a game. They only get, 10 fantasy points because they only threw for 186 yards, but they controlled the game. They play so good, but they get no points,
Right.
Now, there's people out there would go, well, no, it's fantasy. Just you play based on the rules of fantasy. It doesn't have to be the same as real football.
Yeah.
But still.
But sometimes we need to be able to, I think, correctly value the quarterback play, which I think everybody can agree is the most important position, at least from on the offense. So if that's what the quarterback is supposed to do, if they have to be the game manager because the defensive matchup and their job is to just not turn the ball over, they should be valued that way.
I know the exact game or week. I had Cam Newton. And believe it or not, Cam Newton had a good week, but didn't score or run a lot, meaning they controlled the game and they won by like 2 touchdowns.
Sure.
So Cam had a very below average fantasy scoring for that week. I was playing somebody who was playing against Ben Roethlisberger, who I think threw like 4 interceptions, but still threw for 400 yards. And they lost. I don't know if you remember that game. Ben threw the ball like in the 4th quarter. He threw like 3 touchdown passes and like 300 yards in the last fucking 10 minutes of the game. I get it. Points and yards are points and yards. They lost the game. He played terrible. He threw 47 interceptions. But
for fantasy,
he got 28 fantasy points and my guy got 10. It's like sometimes you're like, that's bullshit. But
no, I'm with you.
That's part of the game. So, all right. I'm telling you right now, this Big Wave Golden Ale was very, very good. I enjoyed it. Liquid Aloha. I'm gonna have to buy a 6-pack of that.
And I will very much recommend the Citra High. I can honestly say on the cast, it might be my 2nd to 3rd best beer I drink.
And that's I think I can buy that. I mean, that's a pretty common beer.
That's Ohio.
Yeah, I might.
We will be there during Beer and Sweat, right, Chris?
Hell yeah, we will.
Even though the beer, I got a
pick one of
38
those up.
Beer and Sweat, got a 28 at the Rheingeist. I mean, so get your competition hats on.
There we go. I will get a better score at Beer and Sweat this year. I guarantee it.
Dun,
As long as you're happy with it, Chris. As long as you're happy with it.
I'm still
That's
drinking
all
the beer.
Right. Hey, if you're happy with the beer, it's good beer.
Yeah.
So, all right. I had fun. Like I said, we did something a little different tonight. Talked a little bit about everything. I think we got
and no home brewing. I don't think we talked anything about home brewing.
We talked about brewing. Chris brought in his new gadget and equipment.
Yeah.
We talked more we watched more YouTube videos and talked about homebrew. Right?
Okay.
What's that?
Then only because you brought up at the beginning. What's the new hop that you brought in or that you mentioned at the very beginning?
If I say it correctly, it's Zythos. But I also just got another
what is
one.
its characteristics, or what did customers request it? What made us start carrying that one?
It's no different than the beer I'm drinking right now. The Citra High, the citrusy hops are very popular right now. So Zythos is very citrusy in flavor and aroma. I got that from the beer that I brewed. The beer that I brewed is a little high in alcohol. I don't know if I balanced it well enough. Had some Munich malt, so I probably wouldn't do that in the future. I believe I also got El Dorado, and so those are like very pineapple forward. So that's we're moving into a lot more of the citrusy style hops.
Now,
moving forward.
95-degree weather on the weekends, does that kill the brewing store, or do more people brew when it's that hot?
We've actually been very, very busy the past couple of months, and even though we've only been open for a few years now, in comparison to last year's, is quite awesome. So,
well, good. Any other, give you a second? Anything new equipment wise? Anything that you're trying that you haven't done in the past, or
we're getting into a lot more caking supplies than ever before.
Because your customers request it, more people are wanting to go that route, or
honestly, because if you want me to be 100% transparent, they're one of the gas suppliers doesn't really do much retail business anymore. So they're sending a lot of customers our way. So all the bits and pieces that they had, we're trying to supply. I've got a lot of customers now. Honestly, probably a good third of my customers don't even homebrew right now.
Okay. That being said, I don't even know.
Soda, all kinds of different things.
Do you sell, or can you get? I mean, if someone wants to just come in and buy a kegerator, can they get something like that at your store, or is that not in your realm?
So kegerators, we special order. Quite honestly, Best Buy, I've heard, has a very good 2-tap kegerator for pretty cheap. Come get the bottle filled from me. I can't compete with Best Buy's prices on that, but the kegerators have to come empty, and Best Buy doesn't fill the CO2 tanks, so you can do that there, and all the little pieces and parts. If you want to do soda or beer, homebrew or anything like that, we have all the little pieces and parts for that. So that's
can you homebrew into those? I know they're made for regular size kegs, but I'm assuming you can put at least a couple cornies in one, or are they too short?
So no, absolutely no problem. The biggest thing is most commercial beers are going to have Sankey connections versus homebrew are either going to be ball lock, which is by far the most popular. Sometimes pin lock. So yeah, you just basically cut the CO2 and the beverage line off and replace it with $10 worth of parts, and you're using homebrew kegs.
Okay, but that is something you can help somebody with.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I'm going to take this one more spot. Anybody, are you guys in a hurry? Shit, we're already an hour and 37 minutes. I guess most people aren't listening to us anyway. But
we're up to two. We're up by 100%. So
there we go.
Okay. So I'm going to add something. I'm going to go way out there and go. We got to discuss Cobra Kai. I finished it finally.
No.
We have not done.
That beer must be kicking in.
Cobra Kai. I mean. First of all, Chris, have you watched Cobra Kai on YouTube?
I haven't watched it yet. I got to sit down and watch.
Karate Kid. It is for people don't know, it's a Karate Kid series, but it's done 30 years. Is it 25 years? I'm trying to think. I mean, they actually bring it up in the show. It's 25 or 30
really
years later.
Okay. Yeah.
And they're actually
it truly is like what 87. So yeah, it's got 30 years.
Wow, it hasn't been that long.
They bring it up. And they bring that up in the movie or the TV show. The TV show.
Wow.
I do agree. I didn't think it would be something I'd watch. Joey told me to watch it. I pretty much 2 days through it. If you're born in the 80s and 90s, it is all great music.
And
Pontiac
here's
cars.
Here's the
flashback. I highly recommend it.
They flashback, Chris, but tastefully.
Okay.
And without giving spoilers, the times you're like, oh my God, here it is. It's going to jump the shark.
We're here.
They make fun of
spoilers.
Okay, so here's spoiler number
No, we
one.
gotta say spoiler alert.
They go
alert.
They go to the karate
Wait
tournament.
a minute. Spoiler alert, and we count to 5. 1, 2,
Spoiler.
3, 4, 5. Go ahead.
Oh,
So they get to Daniel Johns, that's Silverchair. Daniel LaRusso. Daniel LaRusso. The kid gets hurt in the big tournament, the same tournament,
It's the
All
same
Valley
fight.
tournament.
Right,
All
it's the
Valley,
same
yeah.
fight.
He gets hurt and his arm's hurt. He goes, and the karate kid, he goes, and he goes, medic, we need a medic. Medic, is there a medic?
Yeah. That was the point. I do think that was the part that made it more entertaining. They took a lot of things. They took a lot of things from the movie
That was great.
and kind of incorporated them in, but in some cases incorporated them in a different way.
And they made
it's back to the, again, spoiler alert, count to 5, come back and join us in a second. When, the fucking crane or whatever.
The crane kick,
The crane kick
goes the other way as the fuck you.
The crane kick comes out right at the beginning, no spoiler alert here, because they even play it up like, who cares? They did it, they got it out of the way. They knew everyone wanted to see that.
Sure.
So they get it out of the way. So,
and have you ever seen what's the show about everyone single but getting married? Has Doogie Howser in it.
How I Met Your Mother?
How I Met Your Mother. You know how he talks about the story of how Johnny Lawrence is the true hero?
Yeah.
Well, that's what this show kind of is. So
spoiler alert.
You gotta watch
That's
it. You
another
gotta
spoiler alert.
It's the first episode. Get the first two episodes for free.
Spoiler alert.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
You
It's a
got
good show. I'd recommend it. Chris, I recommend Cobra Kai.
I binge watched it in 2 days. No joke. All of them.
I did too.
And I got into the ranch. That was another binge watching show that I watched, and I'm into
I haven't done that
newest
yet, mainly because of
the newest season. Well, he's still in it. They say he's not in it, but he's still in it. So I've watched like 4 episodes.
It's not that I dislike him. He does some good stuff. It makes it hard for me to watch.
Ashton or the other guy?
Yeah,
Ashton. Well, the one guy. Well, the other guy.
Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott rocks.
No, the other guy that was from that 80s show or whatever. He got fired from the show, but he's still in all the episodes I've seen so far. So Rooster. So worth watching.
Chris, okay then. Are you watching anything, Chris? Are you? Let's go.
Me and
Joe are watching.
Well, the wife and I, we just got into watching The Office. I'd never watched it before.
Okay, I have never watched that either.
I can't do it. I don't find Steve Carell funny at all, except in 40-Year-Old Virgin.
But everyone says if you actually work in an office, it's entertaining. Now, I
think it's funny.
Workaholics is hysterical.
I can't do that.
Honestly, for some reason, I started watching that. This was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I didn't find that funny.
I find it more dumb than funny. I have been watching on Chris's same thing. I started watching Parks and Recreation, which I think is done by the same people as The Office. It's actually pretty damn funny.
Okay.
Even Pratt, what's the guy now?
Chris, I would only give that show a chance because of him. And he's a down-to-earth guy, so.
Yeah, and he's not even in it. He's like, this is when he's young. I mean, he's really not even a main character. It's just, but it's funny. Him and the Michelob Ultra commercials is hysterical.
And then also, who's the other guy in it? The guy from, was it Master of Disguise or whatever? That guy's in it, isn't he?
Master of Disguise, that's Mike Myers or Steve Carell, right?
No.
That's not another guy. Right. The guy with
Dana Carvey. Dana Carvey?
No, it's not. I'm not thinking of that. It's like Master of something. But it's
the main guy who's the main. He's in charge of the parks. The one woman from Saturday Night Live. She's the main character. Okay. The blonde-haired chick that's from Saturday Night Live, the comedian woman. She's the main character. Her boss is one of those guys you see in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right. Again, just kind of went off on the rails on what we're watching right now, and. I'm a Cobra Kai guy. Other than that, been watching baseball, I know the NBA draft is here in a day or two.
Yep.
Sports.
The Mox for that.
Yeah. And Sneaky Pete. Did you ever watch season 2 of Sneaky Pete?
I have not watched that. Yeah.
Did you watch the first one?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
did you watch season 1, Chris?
No, I haven't seen it. I've been wanting to watch that though. It looks interesting. That's the one with the Ribisi, right? Giovanni?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Amazing show.
Okay.
Yeah. I recommend
watch. If you're into everything this cast was today, Sneaky Pete will be 100% up your alley. If you like poker, fantasy football, beer drinking, gambling, it's
hustling.
If
you're into hustling.
There's a guy whose podcast I listen to. The guy's name is Andrew Schultz. He's on the Brilliant Idiots podcast. He was in Sneaky Pete. I forget for however many episodes, but I knew that he had filmed like a small role in Sneaky. I think in like the first season of Sneaky Pete. But I don't know what.
I believe you. I believe you.
Could be one of the gangsters.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you stuck with us this long, thank you. We had fun. We thought we could kill an hour easy. We obviously did an hour and a half. I'm not sure. I still had a couple topics, but
I'll get to it next.
Maybe it's me. Let's talk one topic. I can kill an hour. So
yeah.
So Chris, let everybody know where you're at, where they can read your stuff or find you.
Oh, for sure. You can find me on Twitter at Chris Allen FFWX, or you can catch me on my podcast. You can find us on iTunes at Dynasty Owners Manual Podcast. Writing for Fantrax. We've got a NFL draft guide that's coming out within the next month or so. What I've been putting in a lot of work on that. And also, I have another piece for 4 for 4 on Deshaun Watson that should be dropping here within the next few days. So, been a lot of writing.
All right, sure making me look bad. Joey, where can people find you if they need some home brewing equipment?
You can find me at HBYOB.com. We have a store in the Dayton, Ohio area. And meet me and Chris if you want to personally meet us at Beer and Sweat Homebrew Competition, Kegling Competition. Be there, be square.
I'll be the guy.
We're not worried about scores, but we are worried about having fun. So if you want to,
I'll be the guy with the medal.
Yep.
Oh, I'm medal. The medal. They give medals out for 22s.
No, I'm not gonna get 22. I'm gonna get double that.
I know I'm going to get what I got. At minimum, I'm going to get what I got last year. It was a T-shirt because I paid like $18 for one.
Oh,
right. I didn't get a T-shirt last year. I probably
bought one. It was awesome.
All right. Thanks for coming. Next week, we'll see. Maybe it'll be us again, or we'll be back to our normal, just nothing but fantasy stuff. I know we got a couple. I talked to me and Chris. We got about a month for the real fantasy stuff kicks off, and we have to start getting serious again. So maybe for a few weeks, maybe we'll just do some fun stuff. So. Thanks for joining us. I'm Easy Kill. You can find me Easy Kill at a fantasy fan out on Twitter. Shoot me, any information or something you want us to talk about. We'll be happy to. Other than that, everybody say goodnight.